You're listening to Talk Star Wars, a proud member of the Star Wars Commonwealth podcast network. Check us out on the web at starwarscommonwealth.com and take your first steps into a larger world. Talk Star Wars is a production of Emotionally 14. For fantastic podcasts, video series, blog posts, and much more, visit us on the web at emotionally14.com and enjoy content for the permanently teenaged. Hello there, and welcome to Talk Star Wars, episode 185 from Emotionally14.com. I'm your host, as always, Rob Wade, and I'm joined by the Lando to my Han, the Chewie to my Han. You get the picture. It's Brad Harmer-Barnes.
How you doing? I'm sure we should be episode 186 by now.
That could have been the case. In an alternate timeline, we're up into the 200s, I think, now, over the years. It's quite staggering, in fact. So there's this website called Podchaser, which I had an account, I've had it for a while, and I dipped in and out of it, and then I sort of let it slip to the wayside. And then a guy called Neil Velio, who I've just recently started sort of mutual follow on Twitter and sort of been following his tweets and stuff, has been talking about it. And I thought, I'll have a look at that because it sounds like they've added a load of features. Yeah. And they've got the ability there for you to add your appearances on podcasts. So if you've been a guest on a particular episode, you can sort of basically build up like an IMDb style profile. Yeah, so okay. I've been able to say, like, obviously the easy ones are the Emotionally 14, Crazy Train and the Gamecast, all of them, because I'm on them all. But Talk Star Wars was an interesting one because it's only, I've had to do an approximation because the alternative is going every week and working out whether I was on that one or not, because I haven't been on every single one over the years. But I seem to recall the number in total of all my podcast appearances across the years being in excess of 400 and nearly 450, which is quite a lot, really. Yeah,
that sounds excessive.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like a good word for it, to be honest. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot. But I'd say a lot of those are going to be roundtables, and some of those I'm not on, and so on. So it's only a rough guess because it's kind of that's like a ceiling. There's no way it's more than that. But that's the best you can do with it because you can do it with a date range, and it's really easy. And as I say, the alternative is going back through 300 plus episodes in the feed and going, was I on there? Was I not on there? And forget that. How are things?
Things are all good, apart from I'm very tired. You?
I'm good. So we are all paid up on the wedding as of this morning.
Oh, awesome.
Yes, it's actually happening. Well, it was already happening, but it's definitely happening.
It's confirmed.
Yeah, indeed. Speaking of which, I should probably address that there will be, for the month of October, I'm going to seed it now, just so that people are kind of aware and not surprised. There is a possibility that there will be no episode on the 21st and the 28th of October. Okay. Get that out of the way right away. I'm going to try it. So Robcast is working on putting some stuff together that should hopefully fill some of the space. But there's, expect some disruption mid-October because I'm not in the continent. And I will not be, in many cases, I won't be places where internet's reliable. So, it makes it trickier to...
That's all right. I'm sure no one will mind. It's not like there's a build-up to a big movie happening or anything.
No, indeed. And to be fair, if in terms of slow news weeks, Lucasfilm started it. So, if they want to rumble anytime, they can be my guest. The news of the week, of course, Kevin Feige. Feige?
Yes. He's not the Ghostbusters guy.
No, that's Paul Feige.
That's the other Feige, yeah. They both spell and pronounce their names differently.
Indeed, yeah. And are probably no relation to each other besides both being in Hollywood. Yeah. So Kevin Feige is producing a new Star Wars... Did they say a new Star Wars film or a Star Wars film?
They said a Star Wars film, and I don't even know it's producing. I don't know if he's writing or directing or what his involvement is.
Yeah, I saw producer mentioned specifically, but it didn't. I didn't have a chance to check to see whether there was any additional stuff kind of attached to that.
Yeah, I just saw doing a Star Wars movie. He's going to do a Star Wars, which is
he's going to do a Star Wars.
Pretty vague. You know, he could be a stuntman. Who knows?
Yes, indeed. But he's involved with a film.
Yes,
and in production, in a production capacity, as you know, as CVs go, his production capacity is pretty good.
I'm amazed it's taken this long.
Well, I mean, now that the slate is phase 3 is resolved, I suppose maybe it frees him up a little bit. No word on whether that will be, will that be a Benioff and Weiss, or will it be a Rian Johnson? Will it be a completely different one we haven't heard about yet? Yeah. Who knows? Nobody knows. But obviously, of course, nobody knows, but everybody has an opinion already. I am happy to wait until I've heard more. Beyond that, not really much else to say. So thankfully, other people have stuff to say. So they've written it to us, which is handy. So our first message this week comes from Vesuvi, because of course it does, because she is wonderful. And on that note, I've already said this to her privately, but I want to say publicly how very thoroughly kind she is for sending me best wedding wishes 3 weeks early. Oh. Just in a private email, I won't go into I won't read it because obviously defeats the point of a private email. But she sent a very lovely message over, and Vesuvi, I know I said thank you privately, but thank you publicly. It is incredibly sweet of you to think of me in that capacity and to kind of wish me well and stuff. It's lovely, and I'm
looking forward to it.
Very touching.
It'll be fun.
Yeah. But Vesuvi wrote in a Talk Star Wars thing.
Oh, okay.
So Vesuvi writes, "Thanks, Rob. I will most certainly listen to you and Neil Lowry on Cloud Car Copilot.
It's adorable.
I hope everybody did. Yeah. Thanks, Brad. Here's hoping you make a speedy recovery."
Yeah.
I forget what that was.
I had a wasp in my face.
That's the one. Yes. Yes. Hard to believe that was only 2 weeks ago. Yeah. Thanks, movie trailers open with a single piano note. You watched that video, I take it. Oh,
it was brilliant.
So the All-Noughts, how to make a movie trailer.
So perfect.
Yeah. It was just the fact that every time you said, like, a single piano note and the orchestral swell, I was like, oh, he needs to see this. Yeah. He needs to see this so bad. Thanks. Casual Kaiser Soze reference. No, I don't remember this one.
No.
Thanks. Gratuitous Porg action. That I do remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
what a punchline.
Indeed, yeah. Since you seem to enjoy the previous one, I've enclosed another staggeringly gorgeous still from Jedi Fallen Order, posted within 24 hours of me typing this. That's a good trick.
Yeah.
It must have been within 24 hours before.
Yeah,
clever. In regards to Michael from Sydney's random cameo query, I'd portray a third Tonica sister as seen in Chalmers' Cantina. Eat your heart out, Daniel Craig. Best wishes. Very aggressive. Best wishes, Vesuvi, Knight of the Commonwealth. So the Jedi Fallen Order thing is gorgeous. It's this big grassy landscape, very kind of sparse in terms of architecture, big sort of lakes and rivers and pools. It looks like a very cool place to run around. So hopefully it's a playable thing. Speaking of Fallen Order, did you see...
They laughed at me when I was going to build a castle in the swamp.
Did you see the trailer they dropped today?
I haven't yet, no.
It's very heavily...
Is it sexy?
Very. It's very heavily kind of... there's a lot of pre-rendered stuff in there, but what's in there looks very cool in terms of it makes me intrigued about what context you're in when you're doing that stuff, you know?
Okay, yeah.
And it goes back to that kind of God of War looking spectacle stuff that they've done in the new God of War, which I actually started playing a couple of weeks ago, and seems incredible so far.
Okay,
and
awesome.
So if they keep that kind of, I'd rather they go down that route than the Dark Souls-y, if it's too hard, you're just not good enough kind of thing. Because I'm not personally, that.
I'd be surprised if it did that for Star Wars.
I think it would be a bit of a deep cut. But I think the God of War thing could totally work. And, based on what I've played of the God of War, the new God of War so far, it's awesome. And if they go with that, they'll be onto a winner. But yeah, I would recommend watching it. I think they dropped it on Twitter, so probably check that out. And then, the third Tonica sister, it's a good choice. I mean, there's certainly nothing, it's not going to detract from that scene to have a third.
No, I agree.
Yeah. So Vesuvi, good choice. We are with you. And thank you again. So our next message comes from Arthur.
Hello, Arthur.
Hello, Arthur. Arthur writes, hello again. Question 1. Assuming that The Rise of Skywalker, I just did The Revenge of Sith.
Yeah.
Assuming The Rise of Skywalker has a large battle in the movie, who would you think or want to be involved? Would it be an unknown resistance element or a galactic uprising against the First Order? First Order troopers who have switched sides versus the Sith troopers, or something else entirely? I suppose they're talking about a bodies battle, right?
Yeah, ground troops, I think, is what he's driving at. Yeah, and as you say, a mass battle rather than a big one-on-one lightsaber battle.
Yeah, exactly. Not so much in terms of scale and scope. It's more, well, it is scale, but
yeah, I think probably still just sticking Resistance versus First Order.
It seems like the
makes most sense.
For, yeah.
I don't really know if they're going to go down the road of introducing much in the way of extra forces. I considered it for a while. Mm-hmm. I feel if they were going to go down the route of introducing a third faction, which was never something I was especially sold on, I think we'd have seen more of that.
I feel like we'd have certainly heard something about them by now. It seems unusual that they'd have been.
Palpatine is involved significantly, and there's an old Sith sect or something then, but I don't know, it feels a deep cut.
It could, that could kind of work, but they have to be, I think, careful how they played that, because as you rightly point out, and I know we've talked about this a few times before, but it is late in the day to be introducing brand new factions, and because you've got to kind of give enough, the stuff you could get away with in the 70s, here at the Empire, they're bad. It doesn't fly anymore. And, it's why these I don't have a lot of time for these analyses of like, oh, we didn't need this back in the days of 1977's A New Hope. It's like, because movies weren't as sophisticated then. And we kind of, as a movie going public, as a media consuming public, we're a lot smarter now. And we can take it, we can appreciate shows with more deep characters and multiple threads and plot lines running through them. Whereas historically, that's not been something that we've been as I'm talking kind of broadly as societal level. We've been less we've been less likely to glom onto that stuff. It's more about the smaller cast of characters and the smaller, tighter focuses in the back in there. And now it's now something like a Game of Thrones can have all these main characters with all these backstories and all these histories, and you can glom onto the ones that kind of speak to you, and you can invest in those storylines, and then the other ones can also be there. So you need a bit more introduction to that stuff now. I think it's, like I say, I don't think the days are there anymore where you can just say, here are some people, they are bad too. You can have new characters, but that's a lot easier to bed them in a story where you've already got a kind of somebody like an Allegiant General Pride. You already know where he fits. He's in the hierarchy. He's in the First Order. He's a bad-un. And, they're all bad-uns. He's a bigger bad-un. He's a high-ranking bad-un. That's all you need in terms of setup for him, because you've got that First Order backdrop and that template to kind of to pick from in terms of the basics. So I agree. For that reason, I think a third faction is far too late in the game to introduce anybody with any complexity. And you're not gonna. I would be very surprised if you get something like a Thrawn, something like a Chiss Ascendancy or anything like that. It seems again too late in the day and too deep a cut for the movie-going audience, who you have to allow for, because they're the ones who are going to be. You can't rely on their repeat business. Yeah, you have to grab them and make them want to come back. You can rely on, to a degree, I think, because clearly there have been exceptions, right? You can rely to a degree on the hardcore fans who are going to go 7 or 8 times or more. Yeah, but I think some of those are, certainly from my my experience, I've been dwindling in the number of screenings I can make before a movie drops off at the box office, just because I don't necessarily have enough time to go and do it as many times as I want.
I'm not as bothered either now. No, I went to see Phantom Menace 2 or 3 times, because that was back in the day when you were looking at least a year before it came out to rent or to buy, and you were...
Yeah, so we have to do is
again,
wait 3 to 6 months now?
Yeah, I might have done the same for Attack of the Clones, but Revenge of the Sith I saw once at a cinema and it was out on DVD 3 months later.
Yeah, there's it used to be, like a year lead time, and now it's 3 to 6 months push.
Yeah. So that's what it's a vicious circle, because I'm not going to go multiple times because cinema tickets are so expensive, and so because people aren't going, cinema ticket prices go up.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. It's just a change of the way that the media fits in society.
Yeah.
I guess I don't think it's necessarily a good or a bad thing. It's just an evolution.
Indeed. Yeah, and it's also we're spoiled for choice now in terms of alternatives as well. These platforms like your Netflixes and your Amazons and your Disney Pluses have presented.
How often do you see a trailer and just go, I can wait for that to come on Netflix?
Exactly. That's become I might take a punt on the rental. Yeah. That's the level it's at now. Is there's a level in between, because renting digital movies, man, unless it's on a deal, it's pretty expensive.
Yeah, it's always like 2 or 3 quid more to buy it.
Yeah, and then why would you not do that? Maybe that's it.
Yeah,
maybe
exactly.
It's you might as well maybe we can convince them to buy it for a few quid more, and then they might watch it twice. And that's fine, because if I do, then I still feel like I've saved, and that's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
And if I like the movie...
There's not a sufficient price difference between the rental price and the purchase price on digital movies for that to be a very viable option in my book.
No, indeed. It's one of those things I'll take advantage of things like Apple, for example, have the 99p rental of the week sometimes. And occasionally I'll go, oh, that looks good. And I might pick it up as a rental. And then for 99p, if I don't get to it because life gets in the way, I don't necessarily feel too bad about that, because it's 99p. Okay. I'm only going to waste it on something, something else. Otherwise. So
the next rental of the week,
exactly, or a slightly larger drink over the course of a couple of days. Might go for the bigger can of drink in the morning. There's not going to be a huge. It's not going to. I don't consider a 99p an amount where I can go, that is a sum of money that I can use to change fundamentally something about my life, unless I put it in a change jar.
Yeah.
Which, fine. People have got me there. Hear me, straw man, you got me. So, who would you want it to be, the large battle?
Resistance versus First Order, I think that's
would you prefer ship-to-ship combat or starfighter combat, or would you prefer
at the risk of paralleling Return of the Jedi too much, I think they're going to have to do all three. They're going to have to do the lightsaber man-to-man combat. They're going to have to do the space battle, and they're going to have to do the ground battle, because those are the Star Warsy things, and they're going to want a climax to this 9-movie series.
I don't know. I sort of feel like they could probably... There's going to be scrutiny on this movie because of things like previous film similarity to New Hope. Like Force Awakens similarities to New Hope, and obviously, Last Jedi is quite polarizing. It's fair to say.
Absolutely.
So I think there's going to be some scrutiny on this, and I think something like, it's just like just like Return of the Jedi. Sorry, because look, it's got all 3 battles and stuff. There's a bit of that. That almost seems like it's too easy a thing to concede. But at the same time, I really want to see that, because can you imagine how cool that would be to see like a big space battle, like a really big space battle done in the modern tech, done with all that done with a budget of however much it's probably going to be, it's probably going to be a couple of $100 million, this movie, right? That's how much that's how much blockbuster movies kind of cost now, just as an accepted thing.
I will call Bantha Poodoo if that happens and we don't get capital ships just crashing into each other at light speed.
Any particular reason? Or just because?
Because otherwise it's an unfired Chekhov's gun. If they don't do something like that involving space combat, then it is just going to highlight how stupid the holdout maneuver is in the previous movie.
There is that risk, I guess, yeah. Whether they do that or not, I kind of suspect they wouldn't.
I don't think they're going to take my input on board, to be honest with you.
Any particular reason, or just?
I haven't been asked to be involved in any particular focus groups.
No.
James blocks me on Twitter after the incident.
The event.
I don't feel like I'm aware that I'm just soapboxing when I'm doing this podcast, but at no point do I believe that anything I say impacts any real decision making.
No, that's fair. I mean, we are. It depends on how much Lucasfilm take in stock in the opinions of the people of Uganda. Because if they look to Uganda as the next the developing market that they really want to leverage, they're going to go, what Star Wars podcasts are big there, and then we're in, I think. And it's just a question of we've just got to play the long game on that, I suspect. Because there is going to be a point where Uganda is going to be the country they're going to be aiming for, if for no other reason than because all the other ones are cracked.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
If I had to pick one of all of them, I would want a space battle. And maybe, so maybe the space battle is kind of buying the people on the planet time, and that's as far as it goes. So maybe you have the Kylo Ray fight with, the other Resistance people kind of keeping the Knights of Ren at bay somehow. Because I don't know how that's going to work, but
artillery.
Yeah, I guess. But then, in space, you've got the Resistance ships kind of giving them as much time as they can to figure out what they got to do. Find the MacGuffin or the McPalpatine.
If I were
the McSheev,
Ray, Finn, or any other major Resistance character, I would not be afraid of the Knights of Ren in the slightest.
Any particular reason?
They're second-tier characters in a Star Wars movie, so we're just going to die like daisies. Yeah,
but the characters in the film don't know that.
I suspect they do.
I'm not... Do I have to get the graph out again? I have to get the chart. Just things that we know, things the characters know, and this is where they cross over. To get the Venn diagram of those things. Maybe that's a merch. Who knows?
If the Star
just things like that, just... The things that we would use to troll each other.
Someone who's a complete and total pillock, you need the Talk Star Wars Venn diagram.
With wipe clean action. So you can put in whatever thing. They just don't get their head around.
Board meetings, dental surgeries, car dealerships. Anytime you come to contact with an absolute simpleton, you need the Talk Star Wars Venn diagram. Available
now, except it isn't.
Yeah.
So... Yeah, I would like to see space combat with the idea that it's not delaying the inevitable, but giving the Resistance on the ground
to give
time.
Han more time.
Yeah,
definitely not paralleling the Battle of Endor.
No, indeed, but but without the guerrilla warfare bit.
Yeah, okay.
The Jedi hero versus the the dark side battle, the space battle, and then just. Scrub the third one and just have, some sort of a bit more closed, focused on the characters we've honed in on.
Yeah, okay.
Question 2.
Yes.
Do you think the parking lot of Star Destroyers are being manned? It seems too much of a leap for them to all of a sudden be used by the Resistance unless there is a large Resistance force somewhere. My headcanon would like to see live-action clone troopers in cryostasis as some kind of contingency plan by the Emperor in prep for a return to be able to help the Resistance and make amends for Order 66 and fight back against the Emperor's plans. Hang on. I see. So the clones would be... They were a contingency plan of the Emperor's, and then they would actually break their program.
They never received Order 66.
Yeah, there you go.
So they would still be on the side of the Galactic Republic. Yeah,
there you go. But then surely if the Republic's not there, what do they do? Surely they would just fall back to the Chancellor.
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't know how that works.
No.
It's a cool idea, because if nothing else, we'd see some clone troopers, and that's always fun.
Just default to CO Bibble, I guess.
I suppose so. And yes, Arthur considers, I know they are Imperial class, but one can dream. The final episodes of the Clone Wars do not come out until after the movie, but maybe that will never happen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he means the episodes of the Clone Wars. I think they are definitely coming. I think he means the putting the Clone Wars, putting the clone troopers in in episode 9.
Do you think the parking lot of Star Destroyers are being manned, Rob?
No, I think they are dormant.
Slaved.
I don't know with that, because it's one of those things that could either be really easy to explain in the film quickly, or so slightly awkwardly fiddly hard that it might not be worth it, you know?
I wouldn't be surprised if they're crewed by battle droids.
Ooh. Oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah, I quite like that.
Because we have the reference to the Clone Wars in Force Awakens,
yes.
and we basically just use a clone army.
Yeah.
But it makes more sense to me that they'd use battle droids.
Yeah, I kind of like that. Maybe that would, would make sense. And obviously that would explain, to a degree, I guess, why they would never have kind of figured out they were there, because they wouldn't show up on any sort of thermal activities. So that would kind of make sense. Interesting. Lastly, if the Emperor returns, I want to see him realize his plan has failed. In Return of the Jedi, all you get is a quick yell or groan from him and Vader throwing him over the edge. There has been so much added in canon to his character now that I would enjoy a little more time at his end to see him realize he has failed. All the best, Arthur.
Seems a bit harsh.
It is. Well, yes and no. On the one hand, it's kind of odd that you want to see the suffering of, an old actor having to sort of portray that. But at the same time, Palpatine does represent the supreme and all-powerful galactic evil.
Yeah,
I don't think you want to make him sympathetic, is all I mean.
I don't want King Lear out of this.
No, that's fair. I don't think we're going to get King Lear. And I certainly think that's okay, by the way, to be clear.
Yeah.
I don't know with that one. It's a it's a peculiar mental image. I'll say that.
Yeah, I don't really know what to make of that.
No,
to be honest with you, he's realised his plan is. I mean, he'd have to accept. He must at least accept that something has gone wrong along the way.
If he's being, let's say he's a clone, right? If he's being woken up, something has gone squiffy.
Yeah,
because he's like, hey, hang on a minute, I'm the backup. Are you telling me the primary clone of me failed? Well, I better remote this for several minutes. Yeah, that's a peculiar one. I mean, you might be on your own there, Arthur, but purely because I can't quite picture it in a way that isn't slightly comical.
Yeah.
I also like the idea that all you get is a quick yell or a groan.
Yeah,
it's quite a long, drawn-out death rattle, I think.
It's almost like that Robot Chicken bit when he throws him down the reactor shaft and you get the record scratch going, yep, that's me.
Yeah. I'm glad they're not going down that route, like, as in they wouldn't. Even
if Palpatine knew he'd screwed up, would he ever show it?
No.
Would he ever admit
No.
it?
No, yeah, it would be part of the grand plan, wouldn't it? Like,
yeah, because he's great at winging it.
Yeah, exactly. He's who knows? He could easily be surprised. He could easily be. It was even. I'm so clever. Mm-hmm. It was part of my plan that even I didn't predict. I'm so clever.
Yeah, I think that's what he'd do.
So yeah, Arthur just concludes all the best, Arthur.
It's my favourite Dudley Moore film.
Yeah. That all the best, Arthur.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right,
So I just all the best, Arthur.
Yeah.
Yes. What about it? What do they do? Tell me more about the best Arthur. So our next message comes from Ian. Not that one.
Not that one.
So this is Ian Hart.
Oh, so close.
And Ian Hart has recently written in, and so he begins with, "Hey guys, it's Ian again.
This is how it happens. We just get you addicted."
Yes, indeed. The first taste is free, and all subsequent tastes are free.
Yeah. I mean, there's a Patreon, but that's optional.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we like to make that optional because I feel making it compulsory is a bit weird.
Yeah, it's about you can listen to banking adverts starting out index. Your choice.
Exactly. So the choice is yours. First of all, I'd like to say a massive thank you for reading out my email on your latest podcast. Definitely a pleasant surprise. It definitely brought out some of your dark side anger.
No, this is just my normal anger.
Regarding your comments, it was really interesting to hear your thoughts, and I agreed with everything that you said. Oh, cool. My email contained theories which were not necessarily ones I liked. For example, I understand and agree with how you feel regarding Rey becoming the Chosen One. I wasn't even aware that Lucas had said that Anakin was 100% the Chosen One. In Episode 3, Yoda mentions that the prophecy could have been misread or misinterpreted. He does, but my reading of that has always been that the concept of bringing balance to the Force is the bit they misunderstand. Because by the end, he levels out the Jedi Order.
Yeah.
Between him and Order 66, there's two, the crudest, putting it as crudely as you can.
That's my interpretation of it,
There are two of each. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that's not, it's a very reductive kind of analogy of it, but it is at least true, which gives it that extra oomph. This week, I've read some other articles that point to that theory becoming a possibility. Oh, joy. I've attached some links to the bottom of this email. I probably forgot those. Yep. So you can check them out if you choose to. All right, cool. Well, it's optional. I think other ideas that float...
if only you could do that in real conversations.
Yeah. Well, I mean...
It's optional. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I would say many do.
Yeah.
I think other ideas floating around are that Rey is an incarnation of Anakin. Maybe she was made from the same DNA or midichlorians, but made a woman to hide her identity. That would do it. That would be a way.
Yeah. I mean, the Rey's Anakin theory has been floating around since, 2013?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a pretty well-traveled theory. And obviously, it's not without questions, I would say. I don't disagree that Anakin is the chosen one, if there is one. Okay. But I'd like to know your thoughts on how Anakin could be the chosen one. Did Anakin really bring balance to the Force? He killed the Emperor, maybe, but that was very short-lived. We know the Emperor is returning. Snoke was around at that time, if he's not a vessel for Sidious, and Kylo was born not that long afterwards. Surely a completed prophecy should last a bit longer. Interesting.
Do we even know where the prophecy comes from?
I feel like...
It's in Master and Apprentice, isn't it?
I was going to say, yeah, in the Master and Apprentice, I feel like they touch on where they come from.
Yeah, but they've got a load of old prophecies. It's like a coffee table book of Nostradamus they seem to be working from.
That's pretty much the impression I got, yeah. It's pretty much exactly that.
It's a weird thing, of prophecy.
Yeah.
I get it. It's a very well-travelled fantasy trope. The dragon's going to be reborn or whatever the series you're reading is. But yeah, I feel like it's thrown in the movies just as a bit of fantasy sword and sorcery chrome.
Okay.
I mean, would you have missed much if the prophecy wasn't ever mentioned?
I don't know. I feel like it adds a certain amount of motivation to
Qui-Gon. Yeah, okay.
And then also by an extension then to Obi-Wan, because he sort of buys into the whole Qui-Gon, Qui-Gon is the chosen one. I mean, that would have been awesome too. But more the Anakin is the chosen one, and he then feels compelled to continue when actually probably everything about it is saying to him, don't do it. It's a terrible idea. And in the similar vein, it's like you kind of get a sense of that you start to see slight holes in the Jedi, in the Jedi dogma, because they're sort of selective about what they buy into and that sort of thing. So they kind of you get the sense that they're picking and choosing with the Force and with the sort of the will of the Force. So I don't know. I mean, you could probably do Phantom Menace without the prophecy, but I think it just makes it that a little bit more accessible more quickly in terms of Qui-Gon's motivation.
Qui-Gon has such an interest in Anakin.
Yeah. Just that sort of it gets you there faster in that.
Yeah, I suppose without the prophecy, he does just turn up and go, "Can I have that boy?"
Exactly. Yeah. I'll take good care of him.
Why?
Yeah. No
want him.
Project.
Stuff, reasons. Come and live with a load of celibate men.
Jedi stuff. Yeah. What other questions?
I'll buy him a car.
I'll bet you my ship. I can take your boy.
Yeah, it's better it's definitely better with a prophecy. Yeah, I think about it.
Rather than having this kind of child catcher Jedi.
It's an intergalactic panel van. He's got parked outside Mos Espa.
Why, boy, Qui-Gon, you still have a lot of sweets. That's right.
Oh God, what have I done?
I don't know.
Should have thought that through.
Yeah, So did Anakin really bring balance to the Force?
Well,
technically,
yes. No. He did. I mean, if we ignore the
films,
comics and cartoons and comics about, there's 2 Jedi and 2 Sith left.
Yeah, but so that's at the end of Revenge of the Sith, right?
Yeah.
So it depends on when you evaluate the prophecy, right? If you evaluate it at the end of Revenge of the Sith, it's fulfilled then. And then it takes Luke Skywalker to kind of come through and sort of put things back to, not balance, because the light side wins.
Bring about the Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, exactly. But if you evaluate it at the end of Return of the Jedi, then no, it's unbalanced because,
all Jedi, all the time.
All Jedi, all the time. 100% pure Jedi.
Yeah.
Then be listening to 100% pure Jedi on 99.6 The Quiet Storm. We know that the Emperor is going to play some role. I'm still not convinced he's going to be corporeal, especially because there was an article that did the rounds about Ian McDiarmid saying that Palpatine is dead at the beginning of the new trilogy.
Okay.
So that, to me, puts paid somewhat to the notion of him being alive because, he's used the opposite words for that. And that seems to me pretty definitive. But what do I know, right? I just read words and interpret them. But Snoke as a vessel for Sidious, that seems to be a popular theory doing the rounds. And I actually I don't hate it.
I don't know. I've never hated it.
No.
Especially, I'm kind of glad they have stuck around till episode 9 to do it, if that is for reveal.
Yeah, because I would prefer that than Snoke is useless.
Yeah,
which is the current reality.
I quite like the theory we kind of hit on between us 2 or 3 episodes ago. We said, well, what if there had only ever been one Sith? It's always been Darth Bane moving his Force on to the next body, and there's actually only ever been one immortal Sith Lord changing his name every 100 years or so.
That is kind of cool.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's
so he gets
what
a new apprentice and then takes over that body. I don't know. But it's cool. It would be a way of for sure. Darth Sidious is Darth Plagueis is Darth Bane is. There's only ever been one. I think that would be a cool thing to play around with. I don't know if it would go down that route. But
no, I'm inclined to agree. But as I say, I'm inclined to agree, but while acknowledging that it would be awesome.
Yeah. Okay.
So
the best I can get sometimes.
Yeah, that's fair. And Kylo was born not that long afterwards, but Kylo is kind of we know he's a conflicted character because he spent his entire life conflicted.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of this doing the rounds about because they've had the Kylo Ren tie-in comics, the Age of Resistance ones, I guess they're called.
I've only seen the covers and they look amazing.
Yeah, they are pretty cool. And I haven't read it, but I know that there's a scene in it involving the Force Cave on Dagobah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And that kind of, you get a sense of the Kylo conflict, going on there. What's weird is I've seen a lot of people read that conflict and then go, see, he's not a villain. So, but that's like before all the events of the trilogy.
Yeah.
It's like, baby Stalin, he just falls over a lot, doesn't he?
I mean, it's not incorrect.
No, this is it. I mean, I'm sure that was largely his life to a point.
Yeah,
up until probably for quite a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe even towards the end of it. But too soon?
No, I don't think so.
No, I think I'm safe. I just wanted, genocidal dictators. Everybody always goes to the H1. I just thought I'd mix it up a bit.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen the film The Death of Stalin?
I haven't, but I've heard it's excellent.
It's one of my favourite films.
Yeah.
Well worth watching. Jason Isaacs is superb in it. I mean, so there's a Star Wars connection.
Yeah, I mean, all you have to say was Jason Isaacs, and I'm like, is he superb in it? Of course he is. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
So Kylo is a conflicted character by the nature of the fact that we've watched him be conflicted for ages.
Yeah.
So that's not a surprise to me that wouldn't necessarily touch in on the prophecy that much. Because like I say, I think either way, it's been fulfilled by then.
Yeah.
And that's, prophecies can be short-lived, right? That's, I mean, obviously I have to go back to this a lot and I don't like to because I find it quite lazy and I apologize, but the prophecies in Harry Potter, one of them is literally resolved in a single evening.
Yes.
And many of them are. Many of them are going to be, some woman falls over. That's important somehow.
Yep.
Baby Starling just toddles around a bit, maybe bounces his head on the table twice, and then he learns.
Yeah.
That's how kids work, I think. I don't know.
Starling is getting a lot of shout-outs on tonight's show.
Shout-outs is the wrong word, I feel, for this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Ian continues, I always like to believe that both Anakin and Luke fulfilled the prophecy. In Return of the Jedi, Luke, dressed in black, used force choking and defeated his father using anger and fear. However, Luke was able to control his feelings and always return to the light side.
Yes.
Once the Emperor was defeated in Return of the Jedi, the flap on Luke's chest opened, revealing a white triangle.
Yes.
I don't remember this scene.
Yeah. His shirt comes pops open at the collar.
Oh, okay.
But rather than going full Captain Kirk pecs out, it's the lining is white.
Oh, okay. To me, the square on his chest, half black and half white, resembled yin and yang, showing he was a balance of both sides, light and dark. I became excited when the marketing for The Last Jedi looked like it was going in the Grey Jedi direction, with Luke always appearing grey, and on both the good and bad sides of posters. Disappointingly, this never happened. Instead, they released my least favourite of all the films.
Somebody's never seen the holiday special.
Indeed. I'm not a toxic fan. I just hate it. That's, to be fair,
the first TSW T-shirt.
That's fair. I mean, you're allowed. It's a Star Wars film and no Star Wars magic for me. I hate what they did to Luke, a guy who would do anything for his family. I hate they use lightspeed as a weapon, and I hate all the forced politics on Canto Bight. Forced politics, not forced politics.
That'd be so tedious.
It wouldn't it though? Like just an episode of like The West Wing, but with force powers.
Oh God!
Yeah, I know, right? Plus, it was filled with
Jason Isaacs is in The West Wing, huh?
Yeah, there you go. It all ties together, doesn't it?
He's awesome in it.
Plus, it was filled with contradictions. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, my feelings on The Last Jedi
are all true.
Yeah, I was going to say my feelings on The Last Jedi are well documented. I have some sympathy for some of these positions. Anyway, getting back on topic, how do you guys see the prophecy being fulfilled, or do you think it already was? There are rumors of Anakin returning, so I guess it could still happen.
I think the prophecy was already fulfilled. I very much feel, maybe this is kind of perception of my own I need to challenge and kind of break. I find it very hard to get away from the idea that 1 to 6 were a complete story and 7 is very much a sequel.
Right.
So I do kind of feel the prophecy was wrapped up in 6, and this is, for both good and bad, or neither, a clean break and a new story. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it needs readdressing in this one. It can forge ahead and do its own things.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I've talked about it a couple of episodes ago, but I'll go, I'm quite happy to put it back on the records. I think that touching back on that prophecy is lazy, and I hope they don't touch it. I mean, they can reference it, but if they start looking to rewrite it, no, write your own story. Sorry, you've been given the keys to the kingdom. They have scrubbed the timeline for you. Yeah, earn it.
Yeah. Or at least just give us multiple IG-88s again.
That's fine. I mean, that's a form of earning it. As far as I'm concerned, that's fine. But yeah, it's for me, if you start going back and just hacking away at what George did, that's where they lose me. And that's where I was like, no more. That's where I go. That's where I move on.
I would be reluctant to do that because
I hope so.
There's so much of, certainly Force Awakens, but the Disney era in general is built on love and reverence for the original movies.
100%. Yeah, I absolutely agree.
I don't know if they would go so far as to undo anything from there.
Indeed. I absolutely agree. I hope that stays. I hope it stays that way, and that the temptation to go, the temptation to wrap it up in there is a way, I'm sure, to reframe the Chosen One prophecy in a way that wraps everything up in a neat little bow. Do better. Try harder. That's my sense of it. Like it's like I say, it's the laziest form of storytelling to just go, oh no, actually, it turns out that thing you thought was this. No, too much.
I mean, if it's done cleverly and it's like taking it from a new angle, that's fine. I don't want them to just kind of steamroller over stuff, though.
But then how would you define So do you have like an example of how they might do that? Because I have one that I would think might fall into that definition based on what you've described, but I wouldn't want them to do.
Sorry.
Well, in my head, I kind of imagine a way they could reframe it is to have Anakin bring balance to the Force by helping Rey, and that to me is still the same problem.
Yeah, that would be lazy. Yeah. I can't think of anything in specific relation to the prophecy, but I'm all for stuff that kind of expands a viewpoint, I guess, retroactively, like the weakness in the Death Star in Rogue One.
Yeah.
That's just shedding a new angle, a new light on a part of A New Hope.
Yes.
It doesn't steamroller over anything that is already established in A New Hope.
No, not at all.
So if they could find a way of doing something with that in regards to prophecy or any of the other more fantastical elements, then I'm open to that. I don't want to just stamp my feet and say, no, don't touch it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't want them to be steamrollering. I mean, I don't care what they say about all canon being equal. At some point, the movies and TV shows are going to stamp on some comics and some books. I'm aware that's going to happen because there's no way it was never going to.
No, indeed.
No one's just going to storm into where Benioff and Weiss are filming their series, blow a referee's whistle and say, oh, no, sorry, you can't do that because on page 8 of Star Wars number 4 is already established. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen.
I think it should. Because that's what the story group is supposed to be for, right? Is to make sure those things don't trip over the fundamental stuff they've laid down.
Yeah, is what they said they were going to do, but I never really... It seemed a pipe dream to me. I guess I never thought that would be a promise they could keep 10, 20 years down the line.
Yeah, I'm not sure because, like I say, they've gone to the trouble of scrubbing all this canon. And giving the clean slate.
Yeah.
Surely that gives them the freedom to then be organised with this because they're coming in from ground zero.
That was the idea. Yeah. Yeah. That was in theory the idea, and if they can stick to that, great. I just have my doubts that they will.
Yeah, I hope they do, but I take your point. I generally share some of that healthy skepticism.
Yeah. Okay.
So Ian concludes, also, last time I talked about the idea of Snoke being Sidious. The latest Snoke comic has provided evidence to support that idea. This includes a scene where Snoke takes Kylo to the Dagobah cave, where Kylo confronts his fear, Luke. This results in the cave becoming destroyed. Spoilers. Snoke is frustrated as he wished to take other apprentices there, which shows his lack of interest in Kylo and Snoke's interest in Luke. Well, not necessarily. Anyway, in addition, there are many shots of Snoke's black obsidian ring. This black rock is taken from Darth Vader's Mustafar castle, which is used by Vader to access the afterlife. Also etched into the ring are pictures of the Dwarti. Statues of the 4 sages of the Dwarti were kept in Emperor Palpatine's office. Coincidence? Another long email, but I hope it responds to some of your comments or questions and gives you some more food for thought. Looking forward to your next podcast, guys. Be one with the Force, Ian Hart. Hang on. Has he just ended with... die? Wow, shots fired. Well, don't know,
Wow.
He thinks he doth protest too much about the whole about the whole Venn diagram. What do they do?
The whole thing of tying it into the Black Obsidian Ring, all those nice little references he's just mentioned there. Yeah. Lovely. If that comes to pass, that these guys working on this comic have some sort of prior knowledge of episode 9, then that would be great.
Yeah, it sounds fantastic.
I'm sceptical that the Marvel bullpen has advanced copies of the script to episode 9.
They might have an outline, which would be enough.
Maybe.
I think. It depends on it really depends on what form it takes, right? Because if they end up with, let's say they get given a rough guide of like, this is where the story beats are going, you could probably put together a comic that seeds, and like I say, this is to me the whole point of the story group is if one of the film directors says, I want to do a cool thing with this, they say, we'll work it into a comic. Just a little, put a little seed in a comic or in a video game or in a You know,
if that's the way they're working, then that's great. I hope so. have my doubts about that. Is the way they're working.
I'm right there with you. I'm kind of maintaining what I hope is a healthy level of skepticism about it for the same reason. You know, I want that to be their role, but I haven't necessarily seen enough evidence that that's what's happening. You know, so it's a tricky one to balance. But I think that's if they can do that, fantastic. Mm-hmm. But one thing I want to push back on gently with Ian here is Snoke's interest in Luke because of the tree on Dagobah. It just shows you your fears. It doesn't show you Luke. The point of the tree is not to show Luke.
Yeah, that's unless that is the point of the tree, which is a niche market.
That would be. I mean, it's a bit of a massage of the canon, but it is what happens.
It is what Luke saw. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. It is what happens.
If everyone who goes in there just sees Luke.
In different forms. Like Nathan Lane sees him in his outfit from the birdcage. Yeah. Nathan Lane's, I should say, not Mark Hamill. He's not in it. But that is a now I'll caveat by saying that I haven't read this particular comic that Ian's referencing, so it may be that maybe they deliver actual dialogue that says, you know, that makes that clear, but then that to me would strike me as a failing with the storytelling rather than with Ian's read of it. Yeah,
when Yoda says to him, only what you take with you is in there.
So everybody takes Luke.
Or Luke takes Luke,
yeah. Well, this is it, but Kylo doesn't.
And evidence is building up, in my opinion.
Well, this is it. Maybe we've misunderstood the Force tree completely over the years. Stranger things have happened. So that's all from Ian. But yeah, that was a lovely long email full of wonderful stuff.
To get into there.
Yeah, always lovely to hear from you in any respect, but especially when it's a lengthy one. Hey-oh! So next we have a message from James.
Hello, James.
Hello there.
Has James written in before?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't mind if you break this email up if it's too long. All right, noted. All right. I haven't. That's what she said. You know, brace yourself.
She's a bit weird.
Yeah. Rewatching A New Hope, I had a thought.
Okay.
Kenobi could show Obi-Wan slipping nuggets of Jedi wisdom into his advice, actually training him in the philosophy of the Jedi from the correct age. Oh, so that would be, I'm guessing, into advice to Luke. So maybe he's got some... Hang on.
Reading A New Hope. Does he mean Kenobi the series?
Yeah.
Could show, slipping
nuggets of Jedi wisdom into advice.
I wonder where that sentence was going for a minute.
Actually training him in the philosophy of the Jedi from the correct age. But he has no dealing with Luke, though.
That we know of. I have a feeling that there's one comic where Luke's kind of in passing. Oh, is he like... Oh, okay. He's only like 4 or 5. Yeah. He's not... Might even be non-verbal, I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I might be getting it confused with some of the Lefty Windy movies as well.
Could well be, yeah. I accept that the series couldn't be just that and be also interesting, unless Clint Eastwood produced it. Okay. I would watch that. Yeah. So it would need an arc that is the main focus. Watching the scene where Leia talks about her mother makes me wish once again that the end of episode 3 was Vader finally tracking Padme and the kids down, the children hidden or spirited away, and in his anger, Vader kills Padme. The children couldn't be very old, so maybe they're being watched by Obi-Wan while they play, and he returns to find her dead. They could have also introduced the rebellion during this period, maybe even had Padme be a founding member. This is more like an alternate telling of episode 3 than a Kenobi's plotline, because that would, you know, I would have questions.
Yeah.
First of all, why is Leia on Tatooine? That's the big one. I don't know if I'm missing any others. I also want to see a movie of a young, happy Snoke coming to the galaxy from the unknown regions, looking to join the Jedi, only to find that they have been destroyed. He could arrive on Coruscant the day after. He could arrive on Coruscant the day after Order 66.
Why is that so funny?
Yeah, I don't know. That's the notion of like. Is that the thing is young, happy Snoke? I'm still picturing him tall and wrinkly.
Yeah,
that's the thing. He's just got like one of those little hats on with the
a little propeller head hat.
Yeah, a little propeller head hat and a lolly, and a big lolly.
Yeah,
and he's just otherwise it's Snoke,
really big.
Otherwise it's the normal Snoke, the one that we used to. That's it's all like I'm seeing.
Try and picture a young Sam Elliott. He's still got the moustache.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Baby Sam Elliott is like Velcro going out. he gets captured by Palpatine, tortured for a year for information on where he is from, hence the outpost on Jakku, then finally is able to escape when the Emperor dies. It would certainly be a dark one. Yeah, no argument there.
Yeah.
And tough to write well with Snoke in captivity for a portion of the movie. It actually might work better as a series, with Snoke's family searching for
Snoke in captivity for most of the series.
with Snoke's family searching for him, only to find a Dark Lord. Ooh. Additionally, like a shop, there's a shop front, and Palpatine's just like, "Hello there, how can I help you find anything? We're looking for our Force-sensitive son. I don't think we sell those." Anyway, seriously, I don't know where he is.
Yeah, you got any pirate memory games?
Additionally, Snoke could be being kept in the second Death Star just off the throne room, hearing all that goes on.
Sure.
Which is why he has such reverence for Vader, because Vader. Well, actually, having said that,
what if Snoke is one of the Imperial Royal Guards and gets asked to leave the room?
Could be. He's just like he's like that, high school footballer that's peaked, and he's just like, oh man, I could have saved him. Yeah, but no. Stupid Vader. I'll fix your wagon. Why
doesn't he look super tall in that scene? Because he's further away than the rest of the guards.
This is it. They use that Force perspective like Lord of the Rings.
There's some stupider retcons in Star Wars. Don't come for me.
Oh, this is true, yeah. I don't know if they're all canon, but there are some. There are ones that spring to mind. I remember Steele Saunders had a big rant about one in particular, which was the one about the theory that 3PO turned off when he saw Anakin's lightsaber because he was coded to forget anything Anakin related. It's like, yeah, that's simpler than a memory wipe, isn't it? Doesn't have any conflicts at all. That's fine.
Why?
Anyway, Steele Saunders went off on a big one about it, and I'm with him.
Okay, cool.
Entirely. So the Jedi are supposed to be compassionate. So this seems to be going back to Anakin. The Jedi are supposed to be compassionate, yet they wouldn't free his mother to save him emotional torture. They basically told him to let it go. To me, it was just another way the Jedi had lost touch of why they were on the light side. The transition was difficult enough on Anakin as it is. So actually, interestingly enough, when I was younger, I wrote a what if, like an Infinities line Star Wars thing. And it was presented kind of quasi-comedically because that's what I deal in. Yeah. And it was, what if Qui-Gon had flipped the chance cube the other way and saved Shmi first? Okay. And it was all about, I find it hard to believe that if they'd figured out they'd found the chosen one, they wouldn't just go back with some with some money. Yeah. With some cash this time.
Yeah.
Is he for sale?
Back from a boy.
And then, he would have the whole element of like, you potentially avert his fall to darkness. Padme might, at the same time, Padme might not join the rebellion because she might have somebody else to talk to.
She might hit it off with Bosk. Who knows?
Who knows? Exactly. Yeah. Maybe that's her type.
Yeah.
These seem to be a series of thoughts from James, just kind of that pop in and out. So that's fine. Yeah,
that's fine. I'm on the caffeine. Go for it.
I'm just noticing that they jump around a lot. If Star Wars is a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, could the ship from Flight of the Navigator be from Naboo?
Yeah, I'm not on that much caffeine.
If so, what circumstances could have brought it to Earth?
Well, Flight of the Navigator is a movie I've not thought about for about 30 years.
Indeed, yeah. It's my last recollection of watching it was probably I was about
10, maybe?
Yeah.
It's a long old time. It's a fun movie.
Yeah.
I seem to it being quite short. I don't know if it was a TV movie. It doesn't feel like it's much more than an hour long.
No, it's not that long, I don't think. I don't know. I'm sure we'll get messages.
We'll get messages. I could look it up, but my phone battery's dead.
No, well, then you can't look
tradition.
It up. That's not how that works. But yeah,
could the ship from Flight of the Navigator be from Naboo? Yes, in exactly the same way, but it could also be from Vulcan.
Yeah, why not, right? What's to stop it from being either?
From the Kree Empire. What circumstances brought it to Earth?
Curiosity.
It didn't update Apple Maps.
You have reached your destination. I don't think I have. Because I've travelled for, if we have, we've got to have some words about the directions. Did this get you here in the fastest time?
Yeah.
I don't know, but not bloody likely, based on the journey time we just had. I'm down to The Last Jedi again.
Are you?
And a couple of thoughts struck me as I watched the scene where Rey finds the Force tree. She also went.
Called an ent.
She went straight for the light side of the Force tree. So it's more curiosity or a need for answers that she needs to be aware of. What if Rey wasn't having Force visions of the island and tree as a place she's never been, but remembering where she came from? What if her parents were part of the Church of the Force and discovered Ahch-To, but Rey almost fell into the dark cave, so they left her with the Church? Or rather meant to, but she was stolen as free labor. By
qui-gon. It's a thing he does.
Yeah, apparently.
We've had words.
Yeah, we've decided. Where did I get to? Also, the water coming out of the cave can be a common occurrence during high tides when a cave joins the sea. Oh, okay, because I think last time we talked about it, I said it was weird that it had suddenly just...
It could be a funnel, yeah.
Yeah, it was, that
makes sense. It could be purely geographical. It could just be visual. It
could be a visual.
There's not enough evidence anyway, but it's fun to conjecture.
Yeah, indeed. The visual thing could very much just be to use to transition the scene to get her back on sort of solid ground. I also caught myself enraptured by scenes from A New Hope and Empire. They're not in The Force Awakens, but I am finding myself caught up in scenes of The Last Jedi, so there must be something deeper to the story.
I think The Last Jedi is just quite a visually striking film.
Oh, very much so, yeah. I mean, you can say a lot of things about it, and I have, but it's visually so impressive. Yeah. The colour palette's wonderful. There's some fantastic shots.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
No, I won't hear a word against that side of it, no.
I thought the Carrie Poppins scene was really captivating up until the point that she moved. Do you think if she weaved in and out of debris, it would have fixed the scene? I think it would have made it worse.
I think it would have made it...
Yeah. Personally, it would have made it worse for me, I have to say.
Yeah, I don't think extra motion is what that scene needed.
No, indeed. I don't know what it does need. Probably, for me, not to happen. But
yeah,
I don't know. I've not figured out a way to make it work. Because obviously I saw this a couple of days ago. I haven't had a thought that made it
story-wise, it's for visual. Contrary to what I've just said, it's for visual. It doesn't land for me, to be honest.
I know what you mean. It's like
the actual idea of her doing it, in theory, like no problem at all. Because realistically, how much of a force is she going to need to move in space?
Not that much. It's true. And also, it's a survival reflex. She's about to die otherwise. So that makes sense, right?
I have no real issue with it being in the film, but something about the visual didn't land for me. That was all.
Yeah, no, I do understand. It's kind of the same thing.
That's totally subjective, though. So.
Of course, yeah. I mean, clearly by the emails I've received over the years regarding that film, it is very subjective indeed.
Mm-hmm.
So James finishes his questions there. So James, thank you very much for your lengthy and thorough email. Much obliged.
Mm-hmm.
And our next message comes from Michael. And Michael writes, "Good day, Rob and Brad. General nod of respect to all TSW Force hosts present at the time of broadcast." Yes, I knew I could make it.
Yeah.
First, thank you for taking the time and energy to continue making these awesome podcasts.
Apart from last week.
Well,
we were busy.
Yeah, it happens, right? Yeah. And, we still make awesome podcasts.
This is true. It's getting us to stop is the trick.
Well, this is it. Really makes my day, and I look forward to each new episode and what it will bring us. Oh, in which case, I can only apologise.
Then watch Fire When Ready instead.
There you go. Or
as well as.
Cloud Car Co-Pilot. We talked about it the week before.
I really enjoyed that episode you were on,
It was wonderful. Neil, I know Neil through interactions with fandom, and he's non-stop in terms of plugging the stuff he thinks is worth plugging, and it's always lovely to see your name in that list.
Yeah.
There was something about his style of asking questions. He asked me some of the genuinely hardest questions I've ever been asked, but not because they were, hard-hitting and journalistic, but just because they were off the wall enough that it actually made me have to think.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a question of who's your favorite bounty hunter? It's that's a cool question, but it's one with a really easy answer.
Acha-cha-cha-cha.
Acha-cha-cha-cha. Acha-cha-cha-cha. So exactly. But that's the point, right? It's a tangible, quantifiable answer. But anytime he asked me a question, I was like, I've never thought about that ever.
Yeah.
And it's also not the kind of thing I would have just come to idly.
No, exactly.
Yeah. And his style is just very relaxed as well.
Yeah.
Which is always nice. And, you know, I say it wasn't the hardest of hitting interviews, but I was not expecting Neil to give me an absolute grilling.
It's not that type of show.
Exactly, you know. So, yeah, hopefully people heard that because it was lovely.
Yeah.
Listening to an earlier episode, Michael continues, a connection was made between the colour palette of a hero's clothing and which way they're leaning with the Force. Some clothing changes are, of course, environmental or task-oriented. Loose clothing on hot planets like Tatooine, pilot uniforms for piloting, singlets while sweating out on Dagobah, or when you're a coked-up 80s wrestler. That's always nice.
Yeah.
Environmental / task needs aside, for the most part, you could generalise that Luke's clothing transition during episodes 4 to 6 is white to grey to black. In 7, Luke's clothing resembles a lighter side. However, when Rey arrives and we start episode 8, his clothing appears to darken once more.
I didn't think you noticed. Okay.
Just wondering what your thoughts were with regards to Rey's transition. Will it be as reflective as Luke's? Is it only a matter of time before Rey dons the black uniform and force chokes some Gamorreans? If you know what I mean.
The only thing I really picked up on, there's a couple of Rey moments that I really picked up on, and what concerns me about episode 9 is the preview material I've seen seems that they've walked them back.
Right.
Firstly is the conscious decision to put down the staff and pick up the lightsaber.
Yep.
And I'm wondering if the staff's going to make a reappearance. Obviously, we see the dark side staff.
Yep.
In the most recent trailer, or the penultimate trailer. The other thing is she lets her hair down. It's almost like she gets rid of the girly ponytail and has a more mature hairstyle, but then everything we've seen of her in episode 9, she's gone back to the distinctive Rey hairdo again. I hadn't noticed anything particular with Rey as regards colour palettes.
No, she's kind of
having any deeper meaning.
No, she has the, so when she arrives, she has the sort of grey, on Ahch-To, she's sort of in the sort of grey, kind of grey khaki almost.
Yeah.
So I suppose it's kind of, it sort of parallels Luke's a bit. You know, like his Dagobah fatigues. Yeah,
but it's not as symbolic as Luke's transition is.
No.
In my opinion. I've not noticed really a colour metaphor running through.
No, I haven't picked up on a strong, you know, a deliberate act of palette swapping.
I've not noticed that in any of the sequel characters now, I come to think of it.
No, Poe changes his outfit a bit. But
he gives his jacket to someone else, yeah.
I mean, in Last Jedi, he's got a different kind of look.
Yeah.
He's got that more sort of space pirate kind of, almost like a Firefly style a bit. Yeah. And in the new one, he looks like he goes a bit more sort of Nathan Drake, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Westernized, yeah.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. See, with Rey, I'm not sure whether it's just because she hasn't. I don't think anybody can argue that she's had any kind of, you know, beyond that single instant in that vision where she's curious about the cave.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see her flirt with anything remotely approaching the dark side.
No, not at all. No,
she doesn't strike me as having been through that. You know, I mean, if people kind of have seen something in the films that speaks to them more profoundly, then by all means send it over. But certainly off the top of my head, I don't think she's been through that level of kind of conflict. And I mean, we didn't see it from Luke so much until Jedi. So that's not necessarily an indicator that it's not going to happen. But I think it's hard to judge Rey's journey because it's incomplete at this stage. And, you know, we're not at the point in the story where she would have experienced that if she was in Luke's shoes. That wouldn't have necessarily, that temptation wouldn't have necessarily happened yet.
Yeah.
You know, the equivalent is her sort of, you know, her Force cave is the one with the mirrors versus Luke's, which is the, you know,
the Cave of Luke. The
Cave of Luke, yeah. As we've established, it's now its primary purpose is to be
cannon hammer.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's a bit of a different beast, really. I suppose is the best way to kind of think of it. What do you think?
I just told you what I think.
Cool. People can just wind back a couple of minutes for that, I guess.
Yeah.
So
one of the I will run one of the clothing choices I think works really well is how you see more and more of Vader's costume creep into Anakin's wardrobe throughout the prequel trilogy.
Ah, okay.
You get the kind of diagonal sashes turn up during the Clone Wars, and it's one of those things which, in its execution, looks incredibly goofy.
Right.
But the idea behind it is great. Is when Jake Lloyd in Phantom Menace does the annoyed arms crossing thing, because that's how Vader stands so often.
Yes.
It's always what I'm trying to do, but it looks oddly kind of petulant on a 9-year-old.
Yeah, which is fair, you know.
Yeah.
That's how 9-year-olds can be. Like Sith Lords, I mean, he's petulant, but are you going to tell him?
No, I mean, there's only that's one of those weird bits of A New Hope. There's one officer who kind of backchats him right at the very, very start.
Yeah.
Just keeping her alive is dangerous. He's the only Imperial officer who ever talks back to Vader, and Vader, I don't know what he's got on Vader.
No, indeed. He knows where the bodies are buried.
Yeah.
And that's usually just an expression.
Everywhere.
Yeah. Just an expression usually, but he found a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what. Yeah, I suppose he's. I heard you crying. No, you didn't.
Yeah. I found your Venn diagram.
I'll behave. I'll be good. So Michael continues. My other question for this week is based upon the concept of a dream TSW celebrity interview cast. I was reminded recently of the Kevin Smith Dinner for Five episode featuring Mark Hamill, J.J. Abrams, Jason Lee, and Stan Lee. That reminded me of your podcast. Oh.
Jason Lee can't believe his luck to be in that.
I know, right? That reminded me of your podcast, and I was wondering, if you could host a dinner table interview with any 5 people from the Star Wars universe, who would you invite to talk Star Wars?
Ooh.
You can choose anyone who's ever been involved in the creation of Star Wars universe. Real-world people like an actor, author, director, music composer, etc., all the way to the characters themselves, both canon and non-canon.
So we get Ben Mendelsohn and Krennic.
For example, my dream TSW interview cast would include Ben Mendelsohn, James Earl Jones, Timothy Zahn, Kylo Ren,
bit weird,
and Darth Caedus, a.k.a. Jason Solo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not normal. It's not normal. It's not.
No.
It's not the most normal choices, I would say. I think that's fair to point out. So what you got?
I mean, George Lucas has got to be the first person on your invite list, surely.
I feel like unless you're particularly put out by his comments in the week, he's got to be on the list, right?
Particularly.
No, me neither.
I only ever saw kind of clickbaity headlines that I knew were probably
hyperbolized,
exploding everything out of context. This was about him being upset that they've scrapped all his ideas for a sequel trilogy.
It's basically it was to me. It just read like I wouldn't have done it like that. So, yeah, fair enough.
They said they looked at his ideas, didn't like it, and went his own. It doesn't mean they threw out everything.
No, of course.
They're pretty. I'm sure there's some bits they kept. You know.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, he's just like the Thalasar and milking. That was me.
I would love if I presume after some kind of statute of limitations has passed, if they could do what they did with the Dark Horse series, the Star Wars, and if we could get a comic book version of what George Lucas's pitch for the sequel trilogy would have been.
Oh, that would be awesome. Just be in the same way, like you had, like you say, like the Star Wars, where it was just the original first draft, wasn't it? Yeah. The second draft of the story, just to kind of get a sense of like, this is how he originally envisioned it, and look how crazily different it is. Yeah, and something like that would be really cool. So who you got?
So I think George Lucas is absolutely
a good pick.
First out the gate, and John Williams has to be second, because those are the core of Star Wars for me.
Here's a thought, right? So if we end up agreeing on all 5, we could just have one party, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that seems easier just to organise, and then more likely to say yes. It's like, rather than saying like, oh, do you want to come to a dinner? And then it's like, oh, do you want to also come to this dinner? They're like, ugh. I almost feel like I've got to choose.
I love Ben Mendelsohn, but I don't know if he would be in my top 5 of people I had to. If I was only ever allowed to do this as a one-off, any 5 guests I wanted, I don't know he would make the shortlist.
Okay.
Because he's not that integral. I love him. I love Krennic.
Yeah.
But how integral is he to the history of Star Wars overall?
I would like to invite him. So Ben Mendelsohn, Krennic, Tarkin, and Peter Cushing.
Okay.
And then just have the evening just be about trying to figure out whose achievements we're standing in.
Yeah.
That's the whole premise. By the end of the evening, we just got to nail it down. We just got to figure it out. And by the end of it, we've just established whose achievements, who's responsible for what.
Mm-hmm. And we still got one space, though.
Saw Gerrera.
Yeah.
Forrest Whitaker, rather.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Just because he seems lovely. I bet he's delightful company. It depends. Yeah, I mean, for me, it depends on do we kind of look at the... I think
I'll go Felicity Jones for a fifth for exactly the same reason in that, you know, she's lovely and give it a go.
Yeah, you know, she'd be good company, I think.
Yeah.
Get the impression she's pretty nice.
You have to try, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I think... Sure. I don't know, maybe you do. So yeah, I would probably pick Ben Mendelsohn, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
I kind of like to invite if you're talking authors, I kind of like Karen Traviss.
Karen Traviss
is a cool pick, I think.
Is a cool pick. I still feel kind of annoyed about the way she left.
Okay.
Because she got upset with how some of the Mandalorian stuff was dealt with in the Dave Filoni Clone Wars.
Right.
And I don't know if she dealt with it in right. I can understand her being frustrated.
Right.
But she let it show too much.
I see.
I think if Timothy Zahn can just roll over and go, hey, yeah, I'll do a new Thrawn novel for you, that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know that her... It was almost like I loved the Republic Commando novels, and then the last one came out when she already knew it was going to be her last one.
And it felt like it was phoned in.
Rather than going out on a high note, I wanted it to be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to miss you. It kind of... At the end of that book, I was just like, all right, if that's your attitude.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I see why you...
Yeah, so I loved her work, but I'm still a little bit annoyed about
how
the circumstances under which she departed.
No, that's fair enough.
That's what she's dead. She's not.
No, she's. Yeah, I follow her on Twitter. Like, she's definitely still alive. You know. I don't know.
In terms of writers, Drew Karpyshyn, I think.
Oh, that'd be a good pick. Rogue Squadron could probably sort that out for you. They know him. Yeah, they've had him on a few times, I think.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, just, you know, if we want to push forward with this whole idea.
Yeah, there's literally nothing stuff. It's an email cost and nothing.
Yeah, well.
In terms of authors, Kieran Gillen I love. Yeah, I think he's one of the best writers Star Wars has ever had. Suzanne's not a bad shout. I love James Lucchino, but I don't know how popular he is generally, but he's certainly a favourite of mine.
Okay. Lando.
I love Claudia Gray.
Claudia Gray's cool.
I'm really good. Delilah S. Dawson's really growing on me, actually, as well.
Yeah?
I really enjoy the Phasma novel, and I'm enjoying
Black
Spire Outpost so far, yeah.
Yeah, nice. I haven't made a start yet, but soon.
Cool.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think. I might just start from scratch, actually. So George has to be on the list. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
John Williams seems like the thing is, right? This is I'm trying not to make this sound too harsh, but I don't know how much I'd have to speak to John Williams about. Besides, you did. I get the feeling. Yeah, exactly. It's just. I imagine for him it'd be a bit cringe just to sort of sit there like George Lucas. At least I'd sort of talk. You know, I could talk about like films and stuff he likes and stuff. John Williams, I don't know. He's not a young man.
No,
fair
baby,
to say.
I'm just happy to be here, baby.
Yeah. Now the question is Billy D. or Lando, because they are different people.
Definitely Billy D.
Billy
I think.
D.
Yeah.
Rather than.
Yeah, I mean, I love the Star Wars universe. I don't know how much I want to interact with any of the characters face to face, particularly.
Yeah. Plus, especially if you invite Felicity Jones and Lando.
Yeah. It's like the old Jack D routine about with a CD player. It's like the bands in your house. Yeah, I like the Pogues. I don't want them in my living room.
No, no, especially not. No, just you'd have to fill the cabinet back up straight away. Wouldn't you? It's not fair. So George, people involved.
Oh, this is so much harder than I thought it was going to be. 5 makes it really limiting.
George, I'm going to say Zahn. Because actually, I think about it, the books that kind of had the most profound impact on me in terms of they stick with me are the Thrawn trilogy and duology from the original canon.
Okay,
I like the new ones, but they are for me they're pretty definitive.
That's fair. Sometimes it's also just they remind you of a time in your life as well. Like a good album can make you feel 15 again.
I have very little recollection of when I read those books in terms of
There's some like Jedi Trial was just a throwaway Anakin Clone Wars novel. I can't remember anything about it. When I think about it, it makes me think of holiday I was on while I read it.
Yeah.
So I kind of have fond memories of that one. So maybe a part of the affectation you have for the earlier Thrawn stuff is part of nostalgia as well.
Yeah.
I mean, if you could remember anything pre-2004.
Not particularly.
No.
No, some sort of mental fog has kind of occupied my brain around that period.
Anything pre you meeting me is what you're saying?
It's university, I think, is a factor, and we can probably guess why that might be.
I mean, I can't remember 2003, but I'm told I didn't miss much.
No, trying to think. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't tell you. Yeah. Drank a lot of Dr. Pepper. That's about all I remember.
Yeah.
So, have I got George, Zahn?
I was clean again by the time Return of the King came around. I don't think I missed much.
That's the main thing.
Yeah.
It was out in Canada. That's what I'm aiming for. So, George, Zahn. In terms of people I think might be nice and good company, Diego Luna.
Yeah,
he seems
I can
delightful.
See that. Yeah.
In the similar way to like Pedro Pascal as well, actually, he would be even though I haven't actually seen what he's done in Universe yet. He just seems lovely.
I've not seen him in anything. I'm quite looking forward to.
Yeah, because you haven't watched Game of Thrones.
I'm not a Game of Thrones guy. No.
But yeah, he's rather good in Game of Thrones. Mm-hmm. He plays the.
I saw a photo of him opening. His first time he saw his merch from The Mandalorian, and just the sheer joy on his face at becoming a Star Wars toy is amazing.
Exactly, he's into this.
I get it.
He's nerding out. I would be the same way in his position. I would be insufferable, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Rick McCallum.
Yeah, that seems like a good one.
Because it seems like throughout the prequel trilogy, Rick McCallum's job was to bop George Lucas on the nose with a rolled up newspaper every now and again.
A job that perhaps he didn't do enough.
I would say, if anything, he did a bloody good job, and more people should have been helping him.
That's probably a better word for it, to be honest. Yeah.
Thought you were going to throw up then.
No.
I thought you were going to think that's Peter's weird visual you did.
Yeah, I was just mulling over what you said and also swallowing drink. So both these things can happen simultaneously, it turns out. Although it's probably not advisable based on what just happened, what it looked like to you. So what have I got? George Zahn. See, James Earl Jones is an interesting pick, but at the same time, he's much in the same way as the Mendelsohn argument. He's not actually that involved in the films. He's hugely important to them.
And he loves them as well. Yeah, he has big love for the films and the fans as well. But I know what you mean. He's not exactly, he wasn't on set, was he?
No, exactly. It's like, again, if the invite's there, so if he wanted to come, he'd be more than welcome to. Mm-hmm. I just wouldn't expect him to say yes.
If you're a guy who is more involved, I'd say Ian McDiarmid would be a better shout than
that is a good shout.
Jones. Yeah, because certainly I know he read Darth Plagueis as well. He still remained very interested in the character.
Yeah,
you got to bear in mind that was kind of post prequels before there was any sign of 9, let alone Force Awakens, let alone Episode 9. Happening, and he still felt very involved.
Yeah, because he was still doing things like,
Did he did Rebels as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I don't know if he did the voice. Maybe I think he did at least once.
Sam Witwer was
in there.
I forget if there was a guy who did most of. I forget his name, and I feel awful because he died during production.
Right.
Who was Palpatine for most of the Clone Wars. After he passed, Tim Curry played Palpatine for the final couple of series of Clone Wars. Which you think would be super exciting, but he just sounds like Palpatine. He's just
Tim Curry's just too good.
Yeah. You can't. If I hadn't told you wouldn't have known it was. You can kind of listen out for it a bit.
Yeah.
Once you know, but he does a very good job. It's not Tim Curry being Tim Curry. It's Tim Curry being Palpatine.
Yeah. Well, he's fantastic. What can you do?
Yeah, and then I think for Rebels, Sam Witwer took over.
That sounds right.
Yeah, and I've got a feeling Ian McDiarmid stepped in for the last series, maybe.
That sounds about right, because I think the timeline lines up quite nicely with that. So I think that's why he turns up for the last bit. And also because,
Sam Witwer played Maul as well, I think.
He did, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the one who did Kenobi.
God, that scream is insane.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
You've seen the Battlefront retake he did?
I haven't, no.
One of the emotes for Maul in Clone Wars is that scream, and it's possibly even better.
Wow, okay, I have to give it a look.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to partake of it. And I haven't really played Battlefront in some time, so...
Yeah,
really
I said on Twitter earlier today, there's an Emperor Alba, who are a Norwegian black metal band, that opens with a scream like that, and it made me think of it. And actually, listening to Sam Witwer doing like that, I mean, there are extreme metal singers wish they could scream like that. It's insane.
Yeah, I have to give that a listen.
Yeah,
sounds pretty cool. Lucas, Zahn,
not Camille. Or do we want to go for, as we talk Star Wars?
Yeah.
Do we want to go for guys who haven't necessarily had their say?
I mean, that's an option we could explore.
Yeah, I mean, because George Lucas has spent most of his life talking about Star Wars, so maybe because we talk Star Wars, we go for more of the unsung heroes of Star Wars.
Okay, so like a Ben Burt or somebody like that.
Yeah. What a guy! Soundtrack of your childhood was made by that guy.
Indeed. Yeah, that was weird that when you came to my school.
Everybody got to be somewhere, dude.
I know. Well, the panel van seemed unnecessary. I'm joking, obviously.
That was Neeson, to be fair.
Yeah. I kid. Obviously. No need to let's not get the lawyers involved. Obviously.
Again.
Obviously. All good fun. Ha, 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 ha.
Yeah.
Lucas, Zahn. Calrissian.
Okay.
Well, we can have it from anywhere, right?
Yeah, we can have extra characters. Cool.
And he just seems like he'd be a cool one. Mm-hmm. It's like if you wanted to have a dinner party and you're sitting there like, you can invite famous people and you're just like, obviously, the sort of actors and stuff. And then somebody said, what about somebody from Dragon's Den? And you go, oh, yes, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
It's that sort of thing for me, like, because obviously Lando is an entrepreneur. So, the idea of being able to sort of just talk to somebody with a different kind of set of interests and stuff would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Jane Wen.
Okay.
Yeah. Baze Malbus, for those who. Yeah. He just seems like he's a delightful dude.
But yeah. There's I can't think of many people associated with Star Wars that have an overtly poor reputation for being difficult to work with.
No, nobody springs to mind.
Nobody springs immediately.
No, I know there was some.
Anyway.
I know there was some drama with Dave Prowse for a while.
I was just about to say, I think that was more, as I understand it, that was more a falling out with George than anything else. Which is unfortunate, but. Yeah. I don't know the full story behind it, so I'm not going to take sides.
I know there's something in the book, The Secret History of Star Wars, about plot leaks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I don't know. That's kind of. I think that's in that book. But there is a well publicized kind of thing about plot leaks, and apparently he was the allegation, because obviously I don't know for sure how true it is, was that he was responsible for sort of passing on plot details to people he shouldn't have been, and they sort of caught him out with dodgy pages that.
Really?
They didn't know who it was, so they gave each person. It's one of those ones where you tell different people different secrets to see which one makes it out.
Yeah, okay.
And it's something. I think it's something like that. Was the sort of the allegation was like that he was given some script pages that were deliberately designed to expose him if they got out, and they did something to that effect. I don't know how true that. Yes, I don't know how true that is, but you know, that's what I heard.
Yeah.
So who's to say?
It's a bit of a sausage fest so far.
Sure. Well, you said Felicity Jones, right?
Felicity Jones, Dolores Dawson. Yeah.
Yep. So so that seems
great. You know, yeah, all right. We're balancing it out then.
Yeah. Well, we've got way over 5 now. I think I'm under 5 and you're way over.
So we're going to have to kill some.
Right. Okay. I don't know if this is the way the game was designed to be played.
All right. So some we've got to put back in the paddle van. Right. So I think Ben Mendelsohn, you're pretty sold on.
Yeah. See, Ben Mendelsohn, I've kind of softened on. In the sense that I get what you mean about, you know, he's great, but he's not so heavily connected to Star Wars that he's hugely. Yeah,
I mean, if you're listening, we'd love you to come on the show.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think even you admit you were not one of the 5 people responsible for Star Wars becoming a pop culture phenomenon that it became.
Yeah. I think that's
maybe you do, in which case it sounds like delusions of grandeur.
Yeah.
But sweet cape.
Yeah, I mean, no argument there, right? Can't be...
If any man could bring capes back, it's Ben Mendelsohn.
I think that's true, but I think my sense would be almost, he might be able to bring capes back, but please don't.
Oh, yeah, I forgot you commute on the train, didn't you?
Yeah, I'd get sucked underneath the tracks.
Caught in the door. Do you take it off? Do you sit on it? Do you use it as a blanket?
Yeah, exactly.
They're not built for commuter use.
No, they're very much not.
No.
Not least of all because you have to be around people as well, and that's always going to be...
I mean, if everyone had capes, maybe it wouldn't be such an issue. There would be the infrastructure would change to accommodate cape use.
Yeah, maybe that would be how they get around it.
Every carriage would have a proper cloakroom on it.
Yeah.
Cloakrooms would go back to being cloakrooms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be true. Yeah, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
I see what...
I didn't. But,
I see what linguistic conventions did there.
Right. So who's our 5?
So Zahn, Lucas... I did originally say Travis, but I've walked that back.
Okay, Ben Burt.
Only because... Ben Burt, yeah, sure.
Felicity Jones.
Felicity Jones. So are we doing a mutual 5 now?
That's my understanding.
Yeah, I'm all right with that.
And Lando
Calrissian. All right, cool. Let's lock it in. There you go, Michael. So Michael signs off. All the best, Michael from Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's a statement of fact, like all the best, Michael from Sydney.
Yeah.
In which case he's missing some grammar, but I don't think that's the intent.
I just get the feeling Calrissian would boss block me with Felicity Jones, that's all.
Well, that was what I was intimating at. It was like, maybe that might not be... I mean, there's certain people you want to avoid depending on the reason.
I mean, if anything's going to get in my way of Felicity Jones, it's going to be my personality.
So that's our 6. So listeners, who is your 5? Sorry, not 6. 5. Who is your 5 for this celebrity interview dinner party? Send us some in. podcast@emotionally14.com ideally with the subject Talk Star Wars. Even more ideally with the TSW Celebrity Interview Dreamcast.
Yeah. Or Saturn, whatever it turns out.
Yeah. But that's it from TSW this week. So thank you very much for everybody who's written in. So thank you to Vesuvi, thank you to Ian, thank you to James, thank you to Michael, thank you to Arthur. Thanks everybody.
Still no news this fortnight then?
No, well, we touched on the Kevin Feige stuff.
Oh, Kevin Feige.
Jedi Fallen Order had a new trailer.
We did cover it all. Kind of. We normally do the news at the end. We've kind of done it in transit this time.
I'm trying a new thing, just kind of interspersing it gently. Yeah,
it works better. It just kind of it felt a bit jarring. I mean, I was like, oh no, we did do that.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's okay.
Yeah,
but that's cool. So the big thing to look forward to, obviously, is
episode 9.
Episode 9. Before that, Fallen Order on the 15th of November.
You okay?
Yeah,
just yourself.
No, it's just it's my inquisitive voice when I'm not sure. So I think it's the 15th of November.
Okay.
Is when Fallen Order drops on PS4 and Xbox One. No word, as far as I know, on the Switch version.
Mm-hmm.
Jedi Outcast is going to be the best chance you got, which is now available on PS4 and Switch.
Cool.
So I've picked my copy up. I plan to play it this weekend if all goes, if time allows.
Nice.
But, wedding in a couple of weeks. So
yeah, it's coming up soon. Yeah,
time has not always allowed, but you do what you can, right?
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, fantastic. I'm looking forward to it immensely.
Yeah.
So if you have questions or comments, or if you want to, if you want to add into the mix on the celebrity interview cast, you want to submit your 5, maybe you've got other things like that, along those lines that you'd like to hear our thoughts on, podcast@emotionally14.com is the way to do that. You can also tweet us at Talk Star Wars and message the Facebook page, Talk Star Wars. And that's, I tried to make it as simple as possible when it came to keeping the naming conventions that Mark had originally set up. So thank you very much for listening to Talk Star Wars this week. If you've enjoyed the show and this is your first time here, welcome. We're glad to have you, and hopefully you will consider subscribing. And the best way to do that is to go to any good podcasting platform or one of the rubbish ones and add your subscription using one of the apps. And you will be able to get the show every week on a Monday, as long as there is a show. Obviously, I have to say that just for last week. Then, normal,
it happens.
When normal service resumes, that's fine. And today it has. So that's fine. So if you want to subscribe, you can. If you want to, as we touched on earlier, support Talk Star Wars or, remove ads from the podcast, then you get the ad-free version of the feed by joining our Patreon, which is available at patreon.com/talkstarwars. You get the show a couple of days early and you get it ad-free in exchange for $1 a month for whatever you'd care to donate.
Banging.
Yeah, indeed. So, we're available on all the good platforms. We can also be found every Monday on emotionally14.com, where there is a post that will just have the episode in it in a player, and it will just have the tells you what we talked about and all that fun stuff. And you can also find the show at talkstarwars.co.uk because the domain name was paid up in advance, and it seems a shame to waste it. There, if you go to that site, it literally just takes you directly to the podcast page on Spreaker. So it's the easiest place to get it. But as I say, you can get it on any device with a app: Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, whatever they call it now. Acast, Podchaser, Podcatcher, Podjumper, YouTube, YouTube. All those things, all that fun stuff is all it's available on all of those. So you can find it there. Where can people find you? Speaking of finding.
In bed in a minute. If you are obsessed with me and you just can't get enough of me talking Star Wars on Talk Star Wars, then you can always come and check out me being ready to fire on Fire When Ready, which is a Star Wars tabletop gaming show.
Incredibly sexual.
I know, right?
Yeah. It's
just hope Felicity's listening. You can get on Emotionally 14's YouTube channel or on emotionally14.com, and you can follow the show on Instagram at FireWhenReadyUK. If you want to be my friend on Facebook, you can find me at facebook.com/BradHarmerBarnes, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram if you want to be one of my cult followers at RealBradHB. If you want to help me pay for my house, then you can buy my books through Audible and Amazon.
Yeah, it's not a mortgage, he's just building one. That's not true. I made it up. So if you want to follow me in the same vein, you can do so at Rob Wade Vision on Twitter and Instagram. I also, behind the Talk Star Wars and Emotionally 14 Twitter and Instagram accounts, which are at Talk Star Wars and at Emotionally 14 respectively. Yeah, those are the social media bits. And I say there's Facebook pages for Talk Star Wars and for Emotionally 14. You can join those and you get all the new stuff. Emotionally 14 has video series. It has podcasts that are syndicated via, various different sources from around the world, excessively Canada, but that's fine. They're all wonderful. And speaking of which, some of those podcasts are actually also found in the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network, which is a network of 8 fantastic outfits that produce wonderful Star Wars themed content for you. So in addition to Talk Star Wars, we're joined by Tumbling Saber, Generation X-Wing, The Nerd Room, Rogue Squadron, the San Diego Sabres, Retro Inc., and the Sandcrawler Cast. 8 fantastic outfits producing a multitude of excellent shows. And you can find all of them on the web at starwarscommonwealth.com. and take your first steps into a larger world. I don't think I've forgotten anything from that description. I think our outro has gone relatively smoothly. So all that remains for me to say is thank you very much for listening again. And until next time, be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and as always, may the Force be with you.
Perfect.